January 12th, 2026. Governor DeSantis just overruled his own state insurance board. Citizens Insurance recommended a 2.6% rate cut for 2026. The governor called it milquetoast and forced an 8.7% statewide reduction instead. But here's what nobody is telling you. That's just the average. Some counties are getting 14% back, others 2%. I have the complete list of all 67 counties, and I'm about to show you if your zip code made the 10% club or if you're stuck in the survivor's bracket. Let's find out who the governor just handed $840 back to and who got left behind. Look, if you're tired of watching other Florida news channels give you recycled press releases and pretend they're doing investigative journalism, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel doesn't waste your time with speculation disguised as facts or clickbait thumbnails with no substance behind them. We dive into the actuarial documents, the legislative timelines, the county-by-county breakdowns that nobody else wants to spend 3 hours reading through. You're not subscribing to another news channel. You're joining the people who actually know what's happening in Florida before the mainstream media figures out there's even a story. Now let's get into this. Here's why you cannot afford to skip this update. Every single Florida news outlet ran the same headline when this announcement dropped. DeSantis forces 8.7% insurance cut. Sounds great, right? Except that 8.7% number is a statistical fiction. It's an average, and averages hide absolutely everything that matters. The core information threat here is simple. If you don't know your county's actual approved rate change, you're going to sit there waiting for a 10% refund that never shows up. Or even worse, you're going to ignore a takeout offer from a private insurer that's actually cheaper than Citizens because you assumed Citizens was now the best deal in the state. That assumption could cost you hundreds of dollars this year alone. What makes this coverage different from what you're seeing everywhere else? I'm not handing you a press release recap. I'm giving you the actuarial breakdown by territory, the political pressure timeline that forced this decision, and the speculative map of which counties are about to see private insurers flood back in during 2026, and which counties are going to stay trapped in the Citizens Insurance pool for the next 5 years. And here's the myth I need to destroy right now, before we go any further. You keep hearing that Citizens is depopulating, so rates will keep dropping forever. That's completely false. Yes, Citizens has depopulated from 1.2 million policies back in 2022 down to about 735,000 policies as of January 2026. But that depopulation happened because private insurers cherry-picked the best risks. The low-risk homes with new roofs in low litigation counties. The policies that are still stuck in Citizens right now, those are high-risk coastal properties, homes with older roofs, and non-primary residences. Those policies aren't getting cheaper because the market got better. They're getting subsidized by the state's $9 billion surplus. The second that surplus runs out, or the second we get hit with a major hurricane season, those rates are going right back up. This rate cut you're seeing right now is a temporary political gift. It is not a structural fix to Florida's insurance crisis. Now let me walk you through exactly what happened behind closed doors to make this rate cut materialize. On December 19th, 2025, the Citizens Property Insurance Board of Governors held their scheduled meeting and approved a 2.6% average rate decrease for 2026. The actuarial team at Citizens had spent months running the numbers. They calculated that tort reform savings combined with a relatively stable hurricane season in 2025 justified a modest rate cut. Nothing dramatic, nothing headline-worthy. Just a conservative 2.6% reduction designed to avoid political backlash while keeping the depopulation strategy moving forward. They filed that rate proposal with the Office of Insurance Regulation, and under normal circumstances, that would have been the end of the story. You would have seen a 2.6% cut on your renewal notice sometime in the spring, and life would have gone on. But then the governor's office stepped in. Governor DeSantis publicly called the 2.6% proposal milquetoast. Not inadequate, not disappointing. Milquetoast. That's a very specific word choice, and it sent a very specific message to the Office of Insurance Regulation. The message was this: find more money. So the YADIAP Office of Insurance Regulation sent citizens back to the drawing board and told them to recalculate. And when the dust settled, the new proposal came back at 8.7%, more than 3 times the original recommendation. So why did this happen? Because Citizens is sitting on a $9 billion surplus right now, and 2026 is a midterm election cycle. The governor needed a headline that said he was saving Florida homeowners money, and Citizens had the cash reserves to make that headline real. This was not an actuarial decision. This was a political decision that happened to have actuarial justification attached to it after the fact. But here's the part the press release didn't mention, and this is where the whole story changes. That 8.7% statewide average is hiding a massive regional divide. Some counties are getting 14% back. Some counties are getting 1% back. The difference between those two numbers is the difference between saving $840 a year and saving $30 a year. So let's break down who actually won this lottery. South Florida just became the biggest beneficiary of tort reform in the entire state's history. Broward County is seeing a 14.1% reduction affecting approximately 27,000 homes. Miami-Dade County is getting a 14.0% reduction affecting roughly 42,000 homes. Palm Beach County landed at 11.9% affecting around 26,000 homes. And Monroe County, down in the Keys, is seeing an 11.3% reduction, with some additional wind-only stability protections layered on top. These are not small numbers. If you're a homeowner in Brevard County and your premium last year was $6,000, you are now looking at a reduction of $840 annually starting June 1st, 2026. That's $70 a month back, in your pocket every single month. So why did South Florida get the windfall while other parts of the state are barely seeing anything? The answer comes down to one word: litigation. Between 2019 and 2023, Broward County and Miami-Dade County were the litigation epicenter of the entire United States when it came to property insurance fraud. Fake roof claims, contractor fraud, assignment of benefits scams where a homeowner would sign over their insurance claim to a contractor who would then sue the insurance company for 10 times what the actual repair cost. It was out of control. Insurance companies were spending more money defending lawsuits than they were paying out legitimate claims, and all of that cost was getting passed directly to policyholders in the form of higher premiums. South Florida homeowners were paying what I call the lawsuit tax. They were subsidizing an entire ecosystem of fraudulent claims and predatory litigation. Then in 2023, the Florida Legislature passed a massive tort reform package that gutted most of those lawsuit pathways. They eliminated one-way attorney fees in most insurance disputes. They killed assignment of benefits for roof claims. They imposed strict timelines on how long contractors could wait before filing a claim. And the result? Litigation rates in South Florida collapsed. Insurance companies that were spending 40% of their premium revenue on legal fees suddenly had that money back. And now, 3 years later, those actuarial savings are flowing back to the policyholders who were paying the lawsuit tax in the first place. That's why Broward and Miami-Dade are seeing 14% cuts. They're not getting rewarded for being good. They're getting their money back after years of being punished for their neighbor's fraud. But while South Florida is celebrating, the Gulf Coast is getting a very different deal. Tampa Bay was supposed to see rate increases in 2026. That was the original plan. Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, and Hernando counties were all slated for rate hikes in the December actuarial filing. The reason was simple. Litigation rates in the Tampa Bay area were lower than South Florida, but hurricane exposure was significantly higher. Tampa sits in one of the most vulnerable hurricane zones in the entire state. The actuarial models were showing that even with tort reform savings, the wind risk in Tampa Bay justified modest premium increases to keep the risk pool balanced. But the Office of Insurance Regulation rejected that entire model and forced a downward adjustment anyway. Hillsborough County is now seeing a 5.3% reduction instead of the planned increase. Pinellas landed at 6.8%. Pasco and Hernando are both around 7%. So Tampa Bay residents are getting cuts, but they're not getting the 14% windfall that South Florida is seeing. And here's the risk that nobody's talking about. If Tampa gets hit with a major hurricane in 2026, these rate cuts are going to reverse immediately. The actuarial models already classify Tampa Bay as a higher risk wind zone than South Florida. This rate cut is a political move, not a risk-based move. The governor needed Tampa Bay homeowners to see relief, so the Office of Insurance Regulation found a way to make the numbers work. But those numbers are fragile. One bad storm season and everything flips. And if you think Tampa got a questionable deal, wait until you see what happened to Central Florida and the Panhandle. Counties like Orange, Osceola, Lake, and Brevard were originally looking at rate hikes between 1% and 4%. The December actuarial filing from Citizens showed that Central Florida's exposure to inland flooding and non-hurricane wind events was increasing year over year. You had more severe thunderstorms, more tornadoes, more tropical systems that weakened before making landfall but still dumped enough rain to flood homes. The actuarial team at Citizens looked at the data and recommended small rate increases to keep the pool financially stable. The governor's office killed that plan and mandated that all 67 counties in Florida would see rate reductions. Not some counties, not most counties, all 67. So what happened? The Office of Insurance Regulation forced Citizens to dip into the surplus fund to cover the gap. Orange County is now seeing a 1.8% decrease. Osceola landed at 2.1%. Lake and Brevard are both hovering around 1.5%. Is a 1.5% rate cut meaningful in real dollars? Not really. On a $3,000 annual premium, that's about $45 a year. Less than $4 a month. But politically, it's massive. These homeowners were bracing for increases. They were mentally preparing to pay more. And now they're seeing cuts instead, even if those cuts are functionally invisible on their monthly budget. The Panhandle counties are in the exact same situation. Bay County, Escambia County, Okaloosa County. They're all getting 1% to 3% cuts, but only because the governor refused to let any county in the state show a rate increase in an election year. The actuarial reality for the Panhandle? These are high wind risk zones with aging housing stock and limited private insurance market penetration. The rate cuts they're seeing right now are cosmetic. They exist to generate a headline, not to reflect the actual risk profile of insuring a home on the Gulf Coast. So who's not getting a cut at all? If your Florida property is a second home, a rental property, or an Airbnb, you are not in the 10% club. You're not even in the 1% club. Non-primary residences are completely exempt from the rate cap protections that apply to primary homes. Citizens can adjust those policies by up to 50% in a single year based on actuarial soundness. Now, the current actuarial indication for most non-primary residence policies is showing a negative 13.7% change, which sounds like a cut. But that number is not guaranteed, and it can change at renewal based on updated loss data. Why are non-primary residences being treated differently? Because the state is actively trying to push them out of Citizens entirely. The long-term depopulation strategy is to leave only primary residences in the Citizens pool and force everything else into the private market. If you own a vacation condo in Destin or a short-term rental in Miami Beach, your Citizens policy is going to get progressively more expensive over the next 3 years. That's intentional. The state wants you to find a private insurer or sell the property. Those are your two options. There's also a high-value home rule that's about to hit a lot of people who aren't paying attention. If your home is valued at over $400,000 as of 2026, you now have mandatory flood insurance requirements even if you're not in a designated flood zone. That means even if your wind and liability premium drops by 10% thanks to this rate cut, your total insurance cost might actually go up because you're now required to carry flood coverage that you didn't need before. The wind premium savings get eaten up by the flood premium mandate, and you end up paying the same amount or more. And here's the other thing. Primary residences are now capped at a 15% rate change in either direction, up or down, which is designed to prevent the market from swinging wildly from year to year. But that cap only applies to primary homes. If you own anything else, if it's a rental, if it's a second home, if it's a commercial property, that 15% cap does not exist. Citizens can move your rate by 50% in a single renewal cycle, and there's nothing you can do about it except find a different insurer or drop the coverage. So what do you actually do with all of this information? Here's the bottom line. The 8.7% average rate cut is real, but it is absolutely not evenly distributed across the state. If you live in Brevard County, Miami-Dade, or Palm Beach, you just received a massive financial windfall because your neighbors spent the last 3 years filing fraudulent insurance lawsuits, and the state finally shut that entire system down. You're not getting rewarded for good behavior. You're getting your money back after years of being taxed to subsidize fraud. If you live in Tampa Bay, you're getting 5 to 7% back, which is better than nothing. But you're also sitting in a hurricane exposure zone that could completely blow up your premium structure in 2027 if we get one bad storm. And if you live in Central Florida or the Panhandle, you're getting 1 to 3% cuts that are functionally invisible in your monthly budget and exist primarily as political theater, so the governor can say that every single county in Florida saw relief. The real takeaway here is that this rate cut is not evidence that Florida's insurance market is fixed. It's evidence that Citizens has a $9 billion surplus, and the governor needed a headline going into a midterm election year. The underlying structural problems in Florida's insurance market have not been solved. We still have a shrinking private insurance market. We still have coastal properties that are fundamentally uninsurable at actuarially sound rates. We still have a Citizens pool that's supposed to be the insurer of last resort, but is actually functioning as the primary insurer for 750,000 homes. The moment that $9 billion surplus runs dry, or the moment we get hit with a major hurricane that drains the catastrophe fund, these rates are going right back up. This is temporary relief. It is not a permanent solution. So here's what you need to watch over the next 30 days. First, watch for takeout offers. Private insurance companies like Florida Peninsula, Security First, and People's Trust are all filing their own rate reductions right now, specifically to compete with Citizens. They see that Citizens just dropped rates by 8 to 14%, and they know that if they want to pull policies off the Citizens books, they need to match or beat those numbers. If you get a takeout letter in the mail from a private carrier, do not ignore it. Pull out your current Citizens policy, compare the coverage limits, compare the deductibles, and compare the total annual premium. You might actually get a better deal with a private insurer, especially if you're in one of the 10% club counties where private carriers are going to flood back into the market. Second, watch the depopulation tracker. Citizens publishes a quarterly report showing how many policies are leaving the system and where they're going. The state's official goal is to get Citizens below 500,000 policies by the end of 2027. If your county is in the 10% club, you are going to see private insurers aggressively marketing in your area over the next 6 months. They want those low-risk, high-value policies that just got cheaper. If you're in the mystery zone, if you're in Central Florida or the Panhandle where the cuts were minimal, you're probably going to stay stuck with Citizens for the foreseeable future because private insurers don't see enough profit margin to justify entering those markets. Third, watch the legislative session. The Florida Legislature reconvenes in March 2026, and there are already whispers of another round of insurance reforms on the table. If they pass additional tort reform measures or change the way Citizens is allowed to set rates, these numbers could shift again by the end of the year. You might see another round of cuts in 2027, or you might see the legislature authorize rate increases in high-risk zones to get the actuarial models back in balance. Either way, this is not over. If you want to stay ahead of the Florida insurance and real estate curve, if you want to know about these changes before your neighbors do, before the local news picks up the story, before your insurance agent even understands what's happening, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel does not do fluff pieces. We don't do emotion-driven storytelling or recycled press releases. We give you the actuarial data, the legislative timelines, the county-by-county breakdowns, and the speculative analysis that tells you what's coming next. You're not subscribing to another Florida news channel. You're joining an intel circle of people who actually understand how this state works and where the money is moving. I'll see you in the next one.